Hey, insurance agents, have you ever heard of the objection? I need to think about it. Of course you have. And the purpose of this video today is to do a deep dive. I'm here with Tim and Julian. We're actually going to listen to Julian's call. He's a 10,000 a week producer, and we're going to learn how he overcomes the I need to think about it objection. So let's jump right into it, Tim. If you'll go ahead and share your screen and get us set up
100%.
so that we can listen to this call. We're going to promise a bunch of what you're going to learn. You're going to learn a lot of stuff and learn a script to overcome it. So when you're ready, you just play the play button and we'll begin.
Awesome. Yeah, so first I'm going to just play you guys what the lady says. You guys have probably heard this or some variation, iteration of this. And then Julian's going to provide you guys some context, like what we're coming into the call with, and then we'll just dive right into the rest of it, get
Perfect.
to the meat and the juicy details of it. So this is what she says.
I don't know if I'd just be a
Oh, right here.
This is all overwhelming. Can I call you
yeah,
back?
yeah, absolutely. I don't know what
All right, so that's the objection. This is all overwhelming. Can I call you back? Which essentially, when you break it down to the bare bones, that's just I need to think about it, but in a different way. So, Julian, what led up to this moment? Kind of give us the backstory here.
Yeah, so far, we started off with just kind of talking about some basic stuff. I'm just getting her a quote, going over what's what. She comes out with, well, I've got insurance. I think it's with this company or that company. We end up having to go through a whole song and dance, and we end up finding out which company it's with, and it's a company that has a 3-year waiting period and is quite pricey. Now, if I remember correctly, my only option in this scenario, put me in a position to where I had to get her the lowest price program to confine to her budget, accommodate the waiting period, and still get her an approval while going over everything with her. So at this point, I've gotten all my eggs in the basket. I figured out what's what. I'm just trying to now get her to move forward. And that's where she gave us the objection. And this is where I pick up off that, where I say, yeah, absolutely. And it's going to go from there.
I think if I remember correctly, like there were objections you overcame leading up to this point too, right? Because I know we've listened to this call a couple different times, we've broken it down before, but I think like when you first got started, she was like, you said, "Oh, have you talked to anybody about this before?" She's like, "Yeah, literally 5 minutes ago."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, this lady was beating me over the head the entire call, and it was like, this was this was like one of those calls where you don't even think you're going to get the deal. You're just
yeah,
overcoming the objections for like just for fun. And
yeah.
so at this point, I'm literally just getting like clonked over the head with objection after objection, and I'm just like one after the other, just eating it like Pac-Man and just kind of rolling with the punches. And it got me this far. So this is actually 30 minutes into the call after we've like gone through, broken down the policy, read everything, pulled it all out. But yeah, we have a ton of objections.
So, Tim, let's hit play and see what Julian says to the "Can I call you back" comment.
100%. Let's do it.
yeah, absolutely. I don't know if I'd just be available for you to just call me back just because of my schedule. What I could do is set an appointment together and we could kind of go from there. Would that help?
Yeah, so pause it there. Why do you say, if we're gonna sell this, the goal of selling Final Expense is to sell it over the phone in the first call? Why do you say to the client that you could just set up an appointment later and do it then?
So it's great for relieving sales pressure. And so like one of the things I've kind of found is like if you're going to go to like this is kind of like an analogy here, but if you're going to go to Vegas, you got to be ready to go all in if you want to win. And so when I have a deal on the table, one of the things I've noticed that salespeople do is they jump straight for the deal. They alienate the prospect and they never get somebody to pick back up. In this scenario, I agree with the prospect. I'm willing to put the deal on the line to keep the prospect happy, and it completely removes all my sales pressure. So now they're comfortable, like, oh, thank God this guy gave up, right? So now I can actually go through and find out what the real objection is, because they think that I'm just going to honor whatever command or request they've just made of me.
So, in a sense, this buys you more time and it lowers the stress level of the client.
More or less, she gave me a stall close. I gave her more or less a stall objection overcome, if you will.
You get what you deserve.
Exactly. I just reversed it hard.
Cool. All right, let's keep going.
Here?
Well, I wouldn't show up at, this isn't the 80s anymore, you know what I mean? This is something that we would be doing over the phone. Just ever since COVID, they moved this over to the virtual stuff. It's all, yeah, it's not the same that I used to do the face-to-face stuff, but you know how it is with that whole pandemic, everything changed.
Yeah.
But okay, let me see what I got for you. Give me just a second. And let me see. My system's loading. Give me
pause
just
it.
a moment.
Yeah, pause it here. And then Tim, I'm going to go ahead and just put this on three-way, just as we're doing this, so we can everybody can see us, and then just go ahead and share the screen when Julian's ready.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so at this point now, a lot of you guys are seeing like what you might look and see is like, oh, this he's just stalling. But what I'm doing is I'm actually trying to give her more time. I'm not stalling for me. I already know exactly what I'm going to do. You guys are going to see it, so I'm not going to give it all the spoilers away. But what I'm doing at this point is I'm relieving the sales pressure more and more the more time I give in between it, because I'm just taking my time to find her an appointment. I've completely retreated. This is more or less like, you were to put this into another situation, like what the Greeks did with the Trojans. They took the ships, they left the battle, and they just left their little Trojan horse right there. So I'm about to knock on her front door in about 10 seconds here in this call. But I wanted to point this out because you guys notice I'm just like bumbling around, like, oh, let me just find your appointment and get it set up. She's almost completely forgot that I've tried to close her a moment ago. And that's where I'm about to jump into it here in a second, if you want to keep playing it up for us, Tim.
So this whole thing, and feel free to get it going, Tim, while I kind of clarify here for my sake. This is all theatrics in a sense.
Yes.
The idea behind this is just to sell that you're really going to do it and lower her defenses even further.
Yes, I like to think of every sales call as like a performance. And so like, you know, if I had gone to Broadway, I probably would have killed it with this kind of stuff. But the goal is like, I want to give them an experience of the highest level of service, but I also want them to be entertained. And then this is just for, you know, fun purposes of like playing the game, more or less, the game of cat and mouse. And so here I'm just delaying and making her feel more and more comfortable. I started talking about COVID in the 80s. I mean, she's totally off in Neverland. She's not waiting for me to come back and drop the hammer on the end. So,
okay.
A lot of it too is like, you never want to be in disagreement with the prospect when you're overcoming an objection. And so this is a way of like staying in agreement, keeping rapport. We're on the same side. Look, I don't want to press you into anything. I'm just trying to make sure that, you know, we can get you the best thing possible. And, you know, it takes all of the sales pressure off, like we're saying. So let's jump right back into this.
Hold up. Are you more of a morning or an afternoon person?
Evening.
Oops.
I think it's frozen there, Tim.
Yeah, I'm on.
Evening, even
There we
better. My favorite time of the day. Would later today or sometime tomorrow work better for you?
Probably tomorrow.
Probably tomorrow. Okay. And then I guess I could do either 5 or 7 o'clock your time. Which one of those would work better for you on Thursday? 5? Okay. I'm going to send you an invitation over, and you're going to get an email here. Do you want me to just use the email on file for you?
And what's that?
Let me double check.
Did I give you an email? Yeah, when did I give you that?
What's that?
So she's starting to object a little bit more here. Like, we're basically getting the whole, like, how do you even have my information? Like, she's very confused at this point.
Yeah, so you spent a good bit of time just really selling this, you know.
Oh
like
yeah,
actually
I
gonna
sell
do
the
it.
whole appointment. I actually book it, and like they'll get the reminders and the link, and I'll say, hey, like, did you get this from me while we're on the phone? Like, they think I'm actually done. Like, I'm literally hanging up on them, and then it's like back door. So if this thing will load up for us here, you guys are about to see that. And she's now objecting though to ever having like filled out the lead, I think is what she's about to give me, is that objection. She's like, yeah, now she's coming after we've talked for 30 minutes, gone through everything. She already objected to this once, said she never filled it out, said that she wasn't even like looking for every objection you can think of. And now she's about to come back. She just said, hey, how did you guys even get my email? And then
But you had filled that out when you were
here's where we go.
requested more information on how you could save money on this insurance and get some more coverage. Yeah. Okay. And then let me see. I'm sending over that invitation now. Let's see. Appointment.
Right. And so this is basically just semantics, like setting the appointment. Oh, you know, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever. And then here's a little bit of like rapport building.
Is the time going?
So Julian says like it's going to be Wednesday, and she's like, oh, it's actually already Wednesday or whatever. And then he goes this.
By that quick already?
No.
The days go by faster and faster every day. It's like it's absolute madness. And okay, and then just so I know what
before we jump into this next part. So like as you guys can see, like she's completely like there's no defensiveness. She's laughing. Julian doesn't even remember what day it is. Oh my gosh, what's even going on? Like all the sales pressure's off. She's just, okay, cool. We're going to set an appointment. I'm good. And then this is the Trojan horse. Julian, do you have any words to say or anything that we want to touch on before we, kind of
Not
show
until
what we
we
do here?
not until we go over it, not until we hear
Okay,
it.
perfect. So I'm going to start it right here.
Okay, and then just so I know what we need to go over on our call on Thursday and what questions I need to be prepared to answer. What was it that you were curious about? Was it the price of the program or was it how the program worked?
The price and how it works.
Oh, okay.
Uh-oh.
What the hell you been
Both.
doing on the phone the last 30 minutes, Julian?
That's what I'm saying. So she doesn't now she just went from she doesn't even know how we got her email, which is I can't reclaim that. Now she's telling me she doesn't even understand the insurance at all, which is revealing the real objection behind why she's actually not buying. And so
I see.
Yeah.
So that's a good point. So what you're saying here is that you obviously, you can see the timestamps on the videos, guys. Like he's been on the phone 30 plus minutes with this lady. Obviously, Julian has described the insurance, how it works, talked about pricing. But what you're saying is, with her saying this, that's revealing there's some kind of holdup still about that. Is that correct analysis?
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah.
That's not what she would have told. Like a lot of people, I had a guy that was training a few weeks ago. He just hit a lady, almost exact same situation, way less sales resistance, but the lady just was like, I need to think about it. Let me call you back. He came with, what do you need to think about? And immediately it triggers a defensive reaction from the prospect. But when I ask it this way and I say, hey, and David, just so I know what we need to go over on our call on Thursday, I mean, I need to know what questions I should be prepared to answer here. What were you curious about? And then I pick out whatever I think it is about the program or the pricing or whatever, whichever part of the program that I think it is that they're like concerned about. For her, I was 100% sure it was price. I'd already explained how it worked.
Yeah.
And she'd been giving me price objections the whole time. So, but
we're also talking about replacing a policy here. So there's like a little bit more to digest and understand.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. So
I think the key takeaway here for the audience's sake is that what Julian is saying, and I've never thought about it like this, but it makes sense. Like, and I like the objection rebuttal on paper. How do you mean when you say I need to think about it? Like, well, I just need to think about it. Whereas here, it's like, okay, we're gonna set an appointment later. We'll talk about it later. We'll do this. We'll do that. What question should I ask you? What should be prepared to clarify for you on the call? So it's like they're gonna give you arguably a more truthful answer with Julian's approach versus the other, which triggers the defensiveness. I think that's valuable. That's super valuable. That's really good. I like it.
Well, I think like the way that we view objections is there's basically like there's two different types. You have like the real objections or you have the smoke screen. Like whenever someone tells you like, oh, I need to talk to my wife, like sometimes they actually do make decisions with their wife. Like sometimes you don't want to push too much on that because it just completely blows up the deal. But you have to be able to find out if it's a smoke screen. And what this does is it blows through the smoke without pushing all the pressure on the prospect.
Yeah.
So you can find out like what's the real objection so we can like overcome it together. So let's jump right back in.
Okay, gotcha. And so I guess what questions did you have? I might be able to just answer them for you now.
But to be honest with you, I don't even remember filling out anything.
Gotcha. Yeah, this was for that form you filled out through Zoosurance. It was the funny looking guy on Facebook, and he talked about the life insurance.
Must be talking about Tim.
Where you could save some money and get
of course.
coverage. It was that second funny looking guy who was wearing the blue polo with the whiteboard.
So pause it real quick, just in case the audience is wondering. Zoosurance is the branded approach that you guys use on your leads.
Yep, Zoosurance is our brand for like final expense. And then right here, actually, while you guys we're taking a quick interim, she just gave me another objection, completely unrelated, just to clarify. So she went from, I don't understand the pricing or the program or how it works. Now she says she doesn't remember filling out anything, which is the same objection we got in the front of the call that I've already addressed. So I've got to come back and solve this problem here before we can even jump into getting the deal. And so she's more or less trying to wiggle out of the deal at any cost possible. And so that's what leads us to this next part of overcoming this objection.
Right. Perfect. Let's play it.
No, I don't remember.
No worries. I don't sit around thinking about this kind of thing either. With the current questions that you said you had about the program, you said there was about the price and about the amount of coverage as well. The program that I'm looking at right now, is only $25.75 a month for 5,000, which is half the price of that program that you got, but it's the same amount of coverage. If we were able to get you the same amount of coverage for half the price, would that be helpful?
Yeah, but what would that be? Which, you could tell me what company would that be?
Yeah, just to
25.
So
Yeah,
pause it
that's
here,
a
just
good
just
price.
so the audience knows, we remove a lot of the personally revealing information here as well as carrier stuff. So yeah, so the idea here is now we're getting them back engaged with us, right? As we start talking about what we can do and how to help them and kind of reeling them back in. Wouldn't you say, Julian?
Yeah, I'm just reeling her back in with like a no-brainer question, because it's like, if you ask a starving person if I could just give you food, wouldn't that just make sense? And it doesn't cost you anything. Like, I'm asking something so obvious, like if I
Yeah,
could get you the same coverage for half the price, like would that be helpful? Anything other than a yes is just stupid. So that would be an example of a trial close here. And
sure.
if you notice the objection of she doesn't remember filling it out, I completely blew past that and just said, no worries, I don't sit around thinking about this either. Because the real objection, if you guys noticed here, she's throwing me multiple smoke screens, but the real objection is the understanding of the program and the pricing in
Yep.
relation to the replacement. It doesn't actually matter if she remembers filling out the form or not,
Right.
because she has a problem we need to solve.
Right. Perfect.
100%.
Yeah. This would be through mutual, and so because I work with them, I could get that coverage added on for you, so you could not only save that money like you were talking about, but also give that extra coverage behind to help be his guardian angel. So that would all be through Mutual of Omaha, and I know you've been doing business with them before. You said you already have a policy for them, correct?
Yes.
Well, I mean, if it would help, what we could do is we could submit an application for the 5,000 for the 25.75 to see.
So pause it there. I want to ask a question here. You're using the terminology, we can submit an application. Why do you say that instead of, we can get you written up today for it?
Everything that I've always done has been from a standpoint. This is what I would attribute this to, really getting me a lot of business. And what I've found is that you have to be careful, because there's a balance with this. So this comes with a disclaimer when you're doing this. What I found that works to really get a lot of applications at a high level, writing over 10K a week, into like getting that money actually deposited into your account, not talking about it, and then you don't actually get paid, but genuinely getting business deposited that's approved and issued. What I found is that when you tell people that they can't have something, they want it even more. And so if I ask a girl out and she says no, I now want to go on a date with her more because I just got rejected, right? It's a blow to their ego or confidence. And so when I say, David, I'm not even sure if I can get you approved, we would have to submit an application. Why don't we go ahead and get that application submitted to see if you even get a yes? Because you can't think about whether or not you're going to get approved if I take the decision away from you. The decision is not yours, David. It's the insurance companies. And that's kind of how I frame it.
The other thing you do too about that is there's less of a commitment to just submit an app than there is to like hand me your money, right? So this is all, so the audience, if you're new to the final expense or life insurance sales, commitment's a funny thing, right? We have to take it gradually, right, through this process. And if you come out too soon and say, hey, nice to meet you, here's the dating analogy, do you want to get married? I mean, maybe, but you asking me too soon is a little weird and maybe throw the whole thing off. So you got to gradually get into this, right? Submitting an app versus let's get you, let's go ahead and get you paid up for this plan, right? I just wanted to mention that for the new people out there, because that's the psychology here too, as well as what we call a takeaway, which is, hey, I don't know if I can get you approved. Let's just see. It's harmless.
Exactly.
Right?
So the one disclaimer I do want to give with this, because this is a lesson I did have to learn the hard way. Because I've always written a fair amount of business, but now I'm not only writing more business, now I'm actually making more money. So initially when I started, I was writing business, but I wasn't making money because I wasn't keeping business. And so in the game of retention, one thing that I'll do in this scenario is I'll make an airtight case as to why we're picking that company, as to why that company is of value to them. So like, hey, we're actually picking this company because XYZ 1, 2, 3 ABC. Do you see why we're doing that? What specifically about the reasons that we're picking this company stands out to you? I need to get some sort of like commitment. Yeah. And from there, once they make that commitment to me, I'm going to also, after I get that approval, I'm going to congratulate them like it's Christmas. Oh my God, you just got approved. That's huge. Congratulations. You just got, you know, accepted for this policy. This is so great. I see people get declined all the time. You're so special, right? I make it a big deal. And then at this point, like, I just let them know, hey, look, just to be honest, completely honest with you, we want to make sure like nothing happens. So like, if you need to make any changes to this policy or whatever, just call me and let me know. We'll get it done for you. But if you lose this policy, there's no guarantee that I can get this back for you. Do you understand how that works? Yes, because every time that if you lose insurance or if something happens or another health condition comes up, there's a chance that we can't get you reinsured. In the event that that happens, that means that your family's going to be responsible paying for this out of pocket. Does that make sense? Like, yes, great. So I mean, you can see why, you know, how big of a deal this is for you. I just want to say congratulations to you and your family. Here's the next steps. I'll break down all the next steps, and then I have our back-end Zoosurance automated system that follows up with them to then keep these prospects engaged as they are getting their policies, as they're getting these things. And that way I'm not losing business
Right.
when I'm doing this. In addition to acquiring it on the front end, this is how I keep a high level of retention while using such a, I don't want to say a low commitment to buying the policy because my retention is really high, but I'd say a less threatening commitment.
Right. For sure.
I think it's also like, if you think about how like a realtor sells a house, like it's okay, let's go see the house. And then if you like the house, it's let's put an offer, right? Like let's put an offer in on the house, right? If you like it. So it's like, you're not buying the house from the realtor. The realtor's just helping walk you through the process, but the realtor still gets paid. So it's like, it's not as much of a commitment as like when you put an offer on a house, you're technically offering to buy the house, but it's just step by step by step. It's very gradual. So
Yeah,
I think
and I
that's
think Ben
biggest thing.
Feldman, old school life insurance agent, Guinness World Book of Record, holds a bunch on like submitted business, size of business. This is what he used to do. Let's just see what we can do. His theory was he'd submit a ton of apps, a ton of business, make sure that the client was understood that, you know, there's no commitment. The idea behind it is, I think psychologically, if you can see yourself owning it, it's a lot easier to see yourself owning it after it's been approved, right? You're inching up to the ultimate close, right? So long story short, I think that's why the language is used. Tim, you want to go ahead and share it back again?
100%. Yeah, I think it's also like free trials. Like anyone will sign up for a free trial with a software, but you end up keeping it because you forget to cancel, and it's just like you've already made the micro commitment. You might as well make the the macro commitment.
They'd accept you to add on some coverage, and if so, and then we can go ahead and I can actually help you cancel it as well, so you can end up saving some money. Would that help?
Well, you could go ahead and go with the mutual overhaul.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna have to confirm some information with you just to make sure that we can add that on for you. Give me one moment here, okay, Michelle?
Okay.
All righty.
And that's the yes right there. She literally says,
Yep.
"Go ahead, let's go ahead and do the app."
And you're getting into the application right now and getting all that stuff done. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then the rest of it's just like us going through it. So I don't think we're going to really cover any of that because it's just mostly like obviously application questions, things of that nature. But that's pretty much more or less the breakdown of how I'm doing that. That's a lot of the process and the semantics that I'm using to write 10K a week. It's just, hey, let's get you approved. Let's get you this solution. And then it's really like when you have that airtight, hey, I mean, you know what? And if they ever do hit me, I have had this happen. Well, you know what? I mean, now that I got approved though, I mean, I still have the 30 days to think about it. Well, absolutely you do, David. I'll lean into it. I'll agree. But David, here's the thing. We got you covered. The 20,000 breaks down to paying off the $3,000 credit card you have, covering the $15,000 burial, and the other $2,000 was to give your wife a little help on that car note that you guys got about $7,000 left off. So now on a dollar for dollar basis, you're getting this lower than anywhere else. You actually do have an approval. No. And this solves every problem that we've gone over here on the call today. So you absolutely do have time to think between now and that appointment. And if you want to add some, you're totally welcome to do that. Right. But I would not make any adjustments to go any lower based off what we've talked about. And, you know, obviously if anything does happen in the event that you weren't able to keep this, like, I don't even know if we could get you approved again. So there's a chance that your wife would be responsible for that $20,000 out of her own pocket. Does she have that available? And of course the answer is no, right? I've already fact checked that in the front, and now he's sold even more. Do you see why this is helpful? Is there any, like, what questions do you have for me about this plan? And I'll flip the script and start having him sell me on why he needs it. And then from there, it's a done deal. He's not going anywhere. He's gonna keep it.
Yeah, some takeaways for me listening to this, and this is why I like actually listening to live calls, because, you know, plenty of content out there, you know, here's what you say, and it's great, but like actually hearing it in the flesh and then thinking about it and talking about it like what we've done here today is really important. The takeaways here for me is that, look, you can have somebody who's alleging that they're confused. Whether they're actually confused or not is one thing. But you can turn around somebody who's like, I don't know if I even did this, to buying in literally within a minute or two, right? And all of that is based off of how well you're trained and what the word track that you're using, right? And the other thing is, don't be deterred by objections. You know, everybody gets objections, but in a sense, objections are a way to get to a yes, right? If you know how the structure is, what to say with certain objections, and then helping them see the light as to why buying today is the right idea. And obviously, like Julian uses certain semantics, certain words, right? Submitted versus you're going to buy from me today. There's a better word to use at a specific time. And these are all things that good trainers will do and teach you how to do when it comes to selling final expense over the phone. So as we wrap this up, guys, in case my audience hasn't been introduced to you before, where can they go to see more about what you guys are about? You guys have a YouTube channel, got a lot of content. Where can they go?
You want to break it down for us, Tim?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, we got the YouTube channel. If you guys want to hear more live calls like this, we have a whole playlist on our channel of live sales calls. And then also we are working on building an agency, basically a free lead program where we, you know, have daily training, all that kind of stuff. So if you guys want to learn more about that, go to advancedagentmarketing.com/apply. We have a whole video that like breaks down how all of that works. You can apply to learn more and see if you'd be a good fit to come work with us. You can be getting trained by Julian every single day, one-on-one training, mentorship, all that kind of stuff. And we're actually a wing of David's agency as well. We're under him. So, you know, great stuff.
Yeah. And so that link, either, you know, rewind this and get it again, or look below the video. I'll put the link in the description, and then I'll also put the YouTube channel down there too. So
Awesome.
Julian, thanks for doing the sales call and recording it, so we had the benefit of learning from it. Tim, thank you for hitting the play button and providing your insight too as well.
100%.
And
Thanks for
y'all
having
have a
us.
good one. Thank you.
All righty.